total population control. Bill Binney says that's what the National Security Agency wants. He should know. He was technical director of that agency.
Congress is simply a puppet for NSA and the intelligence community. They do exactly what they say. There's a lot of money involved in this, and a lot of people make money on this, lots of contracts and so on, and empires are built this way.
I could be, rendered by the CIA. I could have people come after me, or any of their third-party partners. They work closely with a number of other nations.
Since I started a lot of these programs inside NSA, I know exactly what they do. I know how they organized it, and I know what they did to it to make it into a bulk acquisition, bulk spying program on everybody in the planet. They initially started with the U.S. persons, and that's why I left so quickly. In fact, it took me 2.5 weeks to get out of NSA once I found out they were spying on U.S. citizens in bulk. This is not just metadata. This is not what they're pulling in content to. It's being done under Executive Order 12333, Section 2.3c for U.S. citizens. That's where they can take in all their content and maintain it and store it and search it, even without a warrant, on a massive scale, and just call it coincidental collection because they're after that one dope dealer or whatever it is that's on the fiber somewhere. But they can take in everything on the fiber and call it coincidental.
Any analyst at any time can target anyone, any selector anywhere. Where those communications will be picked up depends on the range of the sensor networks and the authorities that analyst is empowered with. Not all analysts have the ability to target everything. But I, sitting at my desk, certainly had the authorities to wiretap anyone, from you or your accountant to a federal judge to even the president if I had a personal email.
They started this bulk acquisition early on as a way of getting more and more money. That's been their justification from the beginning. It's been a financial one that builds their empires, builds massive contracting organizations and massive contracts. I mean, we're talking tens of billions of dollars every year. I mean, the budget for intelligence within the United States is on the order of $100 billion a year. That's for 16 agencies, and they're not audited on how they spend the money, by the way.
NSA and the intelligence community in general is focused on getting intelligence wherever it can by any means possible. It believes on the grounds of sort of a self-certification that they serve the national interest.
There is no real oversight, and Congress is simply a puppet for NSA and the intelligence community. They do exactly what they say. In fact, they advocate spying on U.S. citizens. I mean, they were created originally out of the Church Committee investigations in the 1970s because they were spying at that time on U.S. citizens.
You can't shut your iPhone off.
Oh, I know.
It's always listening. It's always pinging towers. It's always pinging Wi-Fi, building a digital breadcrumb trail of where you go and what you do.
Everything you do on an unsecured network is at risk. Your passwords, credit card, privacy, and even sensitive work documents could be exposed to prying eyes. Now more than ever, is it important to protect your data online. That's why we use private internet access. With private internet access, you can safeguard all your online activity with military-grade encryption, protecting you from hacks, governments, and even your own internet provider. Plus, they have a strict no-logs policy, which means they don't track or store any of your browsing history, so your privacy stays private. One click and you're protected. No complicated setup required. That's why we ourselves use private internet access for everything we do online. Get 83% off and 4 months free using our link for a limited time. You can click the link in the description to try it out today.
If you do that in secret consistently, as the government does when it wants to benefit from a secret action that it took, it'll kind of give its officials a mandate to go, hey, tell the press about this thing and that thing, so the public is on our side. But they rarely, if ever, do that when an abuse occurs.
They are violating their charter in doing and advocating spying on U.S. citizens. But it goes much beyond that. I mean, as an intelligence agent, the problem once they started this bulk collection is too much data, because you can't get through it. It's impossible. It's like making a Google query on a whole set of data every day and getting 1 million returns and having to go through the 1 million to find your targets and do technical assessments of intentions and capabilities. You simply can't do it. And so therefore they continue to fail. And the principal reason is because they're taking in bulk acquisition stuff. But it gives them a great set of information to control their population if they want to do it.
The NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. It ingests them by default. It collects them in its system, and it filters them, and it analyzes them, and it measures them, and it stores them for periods of time, simply because that's the easiest, most efficient, and most valuable way to achieve these ends.
So there's that, plus they're gathering information on every leader in every government of the world. So that means they have information to be able to blackmail everybody. This data is not just used by NSA. This is the FBI and the DEA and Drug Enforcement Administration going directly into that data with no oversight or recording at all by anybody. There's a lot of money involved in this, and a lot of people make money on this, lots of contracts and so on, and empires are built this way.
It's going to get worse with the next generation and the next generation who extend the capabilities of this sort of architecture of oppression. You realize that you might be willing to accept any risk, and it doesn't matter what the outcome is, so long as the public gets to make their own decisions about how that's applied.
Our President Lincoln basically said it when he was dedicating the military cemetery in Gettysburg after the battle. He said the question really is whether a government of the people, by the people, or for the people will perish from this earth. And that means democracy, and that's really what this fight is all about. Privacy is liberty, is democracy, and we need to stand up and fight it.
It's not only a great reset, it's a great deception. Replacing mum and dad small businesses and private enterprises with big tech and big business. Democracy and free enterprise go out the window, totalitarian government control slides in through the back door. Those behind this scheme are adamant that there can be and never will be a return to normal. That life will never again be what it was prior to COVID. That is why they constantly talk about the new normal. The World Economic Forum meets every January in Davos. You'll have heard of the expression Davos man. It refers to all the zillionaires and pop stars and popes and princes and politicians who meet every year to map out our futures. The World Economic Forum, along with the United Nations, along with the International Monetary Fund, and along with any number of prominent globalist organizations and powerful individuals, including Prince Charles, together have jointly promised that the World Economic Forum will be used to introduce, via a vast network of connected big tech corporations, online activist movements, and compliant local and national governments, something they call the Great Reset. This isn't some Sky After Dark fantasy conspiracy theory. It is a global commitment they have made to use the panic and fear as a means to reshape all our economies and laws and move to a new form of capitalism that focuses on net zero emissions. You might think this is a great thing. You might think this is a terrible thing. If implemented successfully, the Great Reset will undeniably and deliberately have extreme and possibly dire repercussions for every single one of your constituents. Already, the Great Reset is being widely advertised on posters and in ads across the UK and Europe, and no doubt will be here before too long. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy is just one of their marketing slogans. The plan involves replacing shareholders of big companies with stakeholders who happen to be left-wing bureaucrats and climate change zealots. Replacing mum and dad small businesses and private enterprises with big tech and big business. Mrs. Kafup's share portfolio is out, Greta Thunberg's zero emissions are in. Democracy and free enterprise go out the window, totalitarian government control slides in through the back door. But remember, it's not only a great reset, it's a great deception. Because in order to get everyday people to surrender many of the rights and freedoms we currently take for granted, those behind this scheme are adamant that there can be and never will be a return to normal. That is why they constantly talk about the new normal. This is not me saying this. This is them saying it. The people with the power and the means and the obsessional desire to do it. And they keep telling us again and again precisely what they have in store.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the real virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
And if it's still not clear, the book written by World Economic Forum boss Klaus Schwab himself setting out precisely that will strip away property rights and basic democratic rights. They are not hiding this stuff, they are shouting it from the rooftops.